When water stops, most people have less than half a gallon of usable stored water per person in their entire home. Half a gallon. That is not even enough for one day of basic survival. Here is the real question. What if the taps ran dry tonight, not in a week, not after a storm warning, tonight? No notice. No time to run to the store. Just you, your family, and whatever you have right now. Most people would not survive that situation comfortably. Not because they are unprepared in every way, but because they have prepared for the wrong things. They have stocked food. They have flashlights. They have batteries. But they have completely ignored the one system that collapses faster than anything else when the grid goes down. Water and sanitation. Today, I am going to walk you through 18 items, most of them under $15 each, that cover the complete water and sanitation survival system. Storage, purification, treatment, waste management, hygiene, communication, and the critical support items that most survival channels are too uncomfortable to talk about. This list is not theoretical. Every item on it has been field tested in real disasters, from Hurricane Harvey to the 2021 Texas grid collapse to the 2010 Haiti earthquake. Real events. Real failures. Real survivors who had these items and real casualties among the people who did not. Whether you live in a house, an apartment on the 14th floor, or a mobile home on a rural lot, this list was built for you. One item on this list cost $5 and has already saved lives in 3 separate national disasters. I will get to it, but only after you understand why it works. Because knowing why changes how you use it, and that difference is the difference between contaminated water and clean water. Let us get into it. If you are building your kit this week, hit subscribe. Because the follow-up video covers the 7-day no-power meal system that pairs with everything on this list, and you do not want to miss that one. Item 1. WaterBob Bathtub Emergency Water Storage Bladder. The 100-gallon lifeline hiding in your bathroom. Here is something almost no one tells you. If you fill your bathtub directly during a water emergency, you will lose the majority of that water within 48 hours. Bathtub enamel is a porous surface. It harbors bacteria. It allows evaporation. And without a seal, anything touching that water, soap residue, cleaning chemicals, airborne particulates, will render it unsafe to drink long before you finish using it. The solution is a WaterBob. It is a heavy-duty food-grade plastic bladder that fits inside your bathtub. You drop it in, connect the fill sock to your faucet, and it fills up to 100 gallons of clean, sealed, protected drinking water in about 20 minutes. One bladder. 100 gallons. What most people get wrong here is timing. They plan to fill it when the situation gets bad. By then, it is already too late. Water pressure drops within 2 to 4 hours of a major grid failure. Fill it the moment a weather warning is issued, not when the wind starts. Pro tip: keep the WaterBob sealed in its box inside your bathroom cabinet. It takes up almost no storage space until you need it. And you only need it once. Cost: approximately $30. Capacity: 100 gallons. Deploy time: 20 minutes. Running total: $30. One item. Up to 100 gallons of protected drinking water. That is the foundation. Item 2. Water heater drain valve access. The 40 gallons you already own right now. Before you buy a single additional item on this list, do this. Walk to wherever your water heater is. Look at the base. There is a drain valve there, a small brass spigot. That valve is the entrance to between 30 and 80 gallons of potable, EPA-safe drinking water that you already own and have already paid for. Right now, today, there are tens of millions of households with a 50-gallon emergency water reserve sitting completely forgotten in the utility room. People buy cases of bottled water at the supermarket while 50 gallons of clean water sits unused 10 feet away. Here is how you access it. Attach a standard garden hose to the drain valve at the bottom of the tank. Open the pressure relief valve at the top to allow airflow. This lets gravity pull the water out cleanly. Water flows directly into whatever container you have ready. Clean. Free. No filter needed for a functioning, recently maintained tank. What most people get wrong, they try to drain the tank without opening the top relief valve and get nothing but a trickle. Open both. Top valve for air and bottom valve for water out. Pro tip: know where your water heater is before you need it. And flush your tank once a year. It removes sediment and keeps the water tasting clean. Cost $0. Volume 40 to 80 gallons. Time to access under 5 minutes. Running total $30. You now have up to 180 gallons of stored water, and you have not even left the house. Item 3. Heavy-duty contractor bags. 6 uses for $6. 0 excuses. Not kitchen bags. Not lawn bags. Contractor bags. 3 mil thick, 42-gallon industrial-grade polyethylene. A standard kitchen bag will burst under the weight of 10 pounds of wet material. A contractor bag holds 40 pounds without tearing. 6 uses. Emergency toilet liner. Improvised rainwater collector on a rooftop or balcony, critical for apartment dwellers with no ground access. Rain gear in a pinch. Waterproof electronics bag. Ground tarp. And contamination barrier when handling biohazardous waste. What most people get wrong: they buy the bargain brand contractor bags. Read the label. You want exactly 3 mil or thicker and 42 gallons or larger. The thinner contractor-style bags at dollar stores are marketing, not engineering. Pro tip: for apartment residents, a contractor bag taped over a balcony railing with a small puncture at the lowest point becomes a passive rainwater collector during storms. Pair it with a clean collection bucket underneath. You are now harvesting water from the sky. Costs $6 for a box of 20. 6 survival functions. 1 purchase. Running total $36. Item 4. Collapsible BPA-free water containers. The carry system that actually works. Rigid plastic water jugs have a major structural problem. They expand and contract with temperature changes. That cycling, freeze, thaw, heat, cool, causes microfractures in the plastic that eventually compromise the seal. If you are storing water in rigid jugs in a garage or shed, you are gambling on the temperature staying stable. Collapsible containers made from food-grade LDPE, low-density polyethylene, flex with temperature changes. Military-spec collapsible canteens use the same material. These containers maintain a clean seal from well below freezing to well above boiling. What most people get wrong is repurposing. Milk jugs, juice bottles, soda bottles. Those seem like smart zero-cost options. They are not. Milk proteins permanently absorb into plastic and cannot be fully sanitized, no matter how thoroughly you wash them. Residual sugars in juice and soda bottles feed bacterial growth. Purpose-built food-grade containers only. Pro tip: store them flat and empty until you need them. 10 collapsed containers take up the same space as a single textbook. Fill and stack them only when a warning is issued. At 5 gallons each, 10 containers is 50 gallons of transportable, organized water. Cost approximately $12 to $15 per 5-gallon unit. Stackable. Freeze-resistant. Lifetime rated. Running total $51 for 1 container. Scale to your household. Item 5. Unscented liquid bleach. The $4 purifier that has outlasted every gadget. $4. 1 gallon. 6% sodium hypochlorite. Regular. Unscented. Read that label like your life depends on it, because it does. Not scented. Not splashless. Not color safe. Not ultra concentrated. Not fresh linen. Each of those formulations adds chemical compounds that make the bleach completely unsuitable for water purification. 8 drops purifies 1 gallon of clear water. 16 drops if the water is murky. Wait 30 minutes before drinking. A single $4 gallon of standard bleach will safely purify approximately 4,000 gallons of drinking water. What most people get wrong: they do not date their bottles. Bleach loses roughly 20% of its potency every single year. A 3-year-old bottle of bleach is less than half as effective as a fresh one. Write the purchase date on every bottle with a permanent marker. Rotate your stock every 12 months. Always. Pro tip: store bleach in a cool, dark location away from direct sunlight. Heat and light accelerate the breakdown of sodium hypochlorite. A bleach bottle stored in a hot garage is aging twice as fast as one in a cool pantry. Cost: $4 per gallon. Treats 4,000 gallons. Replace annually. Running total: $55. Stop here for just a moment, because I want to show you something that will reframe why every item on this list matters. When water stops, there is a countdown you cannot see. At hour 6, dehydration symptoms begin in children and elderly adults. By hour 24, everyone in the household is rationing. By day 3, sanitation has broken down completely, waste is accumulating, hand hygiene has collapsed, and surface contamination is spreading through every room. By day 7, secondary infections from bacterial exposure are the leading cause of illness in affected households. That is the contamination creep timeline. And every item on this list is a direct intervention at a specific point in that countdown. Keep that in your mind as we keep going. Item 6. Pool shock. The $5 item that covered 3 national disasters. This is the item I promised you at the start. Pool shock. Granular calcium hypochlorite at a minimum concentration of 68%. You will find it in the pool maintenance aisle of any hardware or home improvement store. A 1-pound bag costs $5. Here is the math. Dissolve 1 teaspoon of this white powder into 2 gallons of clean water. You now have a powerful liquid chlorine concentrate. Take 1 ounce of that concentrate and add it to 100 gallons of water to be purified. 1 teaspoon creates enough concentrate to treat 100 gallons. 1 pound contains roughly 100 teaspoons. That is 10,000 gallons of purified drinking water from a single $5 bag. A family of 4 drinks approximately 3 gallons per day. That $5 bag covers their drinking water for over 8 years. The people who went to the pool supply aisle had limitless clean water. The rest stood in rationing lines for hours in 95-degree heat. What most people get wrong: storage. Pool shock is chemically aggressive. Store it bone dry. Never near fuel, oil, or organic material. It reacts violently with ammonia. Never mix them. Keep it in a sealed, airtight container in a cool location. Properly stored, it remains effective for up to 10 years. Pro tip: a small digital kitchen scale takes the guesswork out of dosing. Weigh your teaspoon the first time to calibrate. Precision matters when you are treating drinking water. Cost: $5 per pound. Treats 10,000 gallons. Shelf life: up to 10 years when stored correctly. Running total: $60. Item 7. Sawyer Squeeze Water Filter. The filter that outlasts every disaster. If pool shock is the mass treatment solution, the Sawyer Squeeze is the personal filtration solution. And this is where I need to address the most common mistake in the survival filter market. Most people buy LifeStraw. It is heavily marketed. It is cheap. And it is genuinely limited. LifeStraw filters approximately 1,000 gallons before it needs replacing. The Sawyer Squeeze filters 100,000 gallons, 100 times more capacity, for a similar price. The Sawyer Squeeze removes 99.9999% of bacteria and 99.999% of protozoa. That exceeds the EPA standards applied to municipal tap water in the United States. It is used by U.S. military units operating without access to clean water and deployed in over 80 countries by international NGOs in disaster response situations. What most people get wrong: they do not backflush. After every 10 uses, use the included syringe to push clean water backward through the filter. That dislodges captured particulates and restores full flow rate. Skip the backflushing and the flow rate drops to a trickle within weeks. Pro tip: the Sawyer attaches directly to a standard disposable water bottle, the same thread size used by most brands. You do not need any special container. Fill any bottle from a stream, screw on the Sawyer, and squeeze. Clean water on the other side. Cost: approximately $35. 100,000 gallon lifetime rating. No replacement cartridges. Running total: $95. Item 8. Iodine purification tablets. The 35-cent backup that fits in a wallet. Filters are physical barriers. Bleach is a chemical disinfectant. But there is a critical gap that both of them share: Viruses. Most mechanical filters, including the Sawyer, do not remove viruses. Standard chlorine treatment is less effective at killing viruses than bacteria. In a flood scenario, when sewage is mixing with surface water, viruses are the specific threat that can kill you. Iodine tablets, specifically potable aqua brand or equivalent, have been standard issue in U.S. Army individual survival kits since 1945. One bottle of 50 tablets treats 25 gallons of water. Sealed shelf life of 4 years. Effective against viruses, bacteria, and protozoa in under 30 minutes. What most people get wrong, they reject iodine because of the taste. The fix costs almost nothing. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid, neutralizes the iodine aftertaste completely after the treatment is complete. Wait the full 30 minutes for purification, then add a small vitamin C tablet or a squeeze of citrus. The taste disappears. Carry both. Always. Pro tip: iodine tablets are your ultralight backup. When everything else is packed and you are down to what fits in a jacket pocket, this bottle of tablets and a contractor bag cost approximately $8 per 50 tablet bottle. Treats 25 gallons. 4-year sealed shelf life. Running total $103. Item 9. 3% hydrogen peroxide. The $1 bottle with 5 survival applications. $1. A 32-ounce brown bottle. 3% hydrogen peroxide. Buy 6 of them. The brown bottle is not marketing. It is engineering. Hydrogen peroxide breaks down rapidly when exposed to UV light. That brown plastic is a radiation shield. A clear bottle of the same product stored in a bright cupboard will be functionally useless within weeks. Always the brown bottle. Always a dark, cool location. Replace annually. 5 survival applications. Deep wound flushing. The bubbling action mechanically lifts debris and bacteria from tissue. Rapid surface sanitizing. Works in under 60 seconds on hard surfaces. Laundry pre-soaking. Bubbles dried blood out of fabric before it permanently sets. Emergency mouthwash. Dilute 50-50 with purified water. Swish for 1 minute. Do not swallow. Biofilm destruction. Pour through stagnant water containers and storage jugs to destroy the invisible bacterial film. Pro tip: for maximum surface sterilization, use hydrogen peroxide first, then follow with a diluted bleach wipe. The two compounds work through different mechanisms. The combination creates a dual-layer disinfection effect that is more thorough than either alone. Right now, drop a W in the comments if you already own at least one item on this list. I want to know where you are starting from. Cost $1 per 32 ounces bottle. Replace annually. Buy in quantity, they will all get used. Running total $109. Let me stop and speak directly to you for a moment, specifically if you are watching this from an apartment. Every item up to this point works equally well, whether you have a backyard or a balcony. But the next 4 items include critical adaptations for apartment living. Shared plumbing creates unique waste management challenges. Vertical storage changes your container strategy. And the absence of outdoor space changes how you handle disposal. You are not at a disadvantage in an apartment. You just need a slightly different plan. Here it is. Item 10. Compressed pine wood pellets. Why every experienced prepper switched from kitty litter. Most beginner survival guides tell you to buy clumping clay kitty litter for your emergency toilet. That advice is outdated. Clay litter absorbs moisture, but it does almost nothing for odor. The ammonia from human waste, specifically from urine, is what makes a sealed room uninhabitable within hours. Pine wood pellets work through a completely different mechanism. When a pine pellet comes into contact with liquid, the compressed wood fiber absorbs the moisture and breaks down into fine sawdust. As it does, it actively neutralizes ammonia through a chemical process involving the natural terpenes in pine wood. The smell does not just get masked, it gets chemically broken down. Pour a 2-inch layer of pine pellets into your lined emergency toilet. When exposed to waste, they dissolve, absorb, and deodorize simultaneously. A 40-pound bag costs $6 at any big box hardware store. One person needs approximately 1.5 pounds per day of use. That $6 bag covers one person for over 25 days. What most people get wrong, they buy the expensive horse stall pine pellets from specialty stores when the exact same product, sometimes literally the same manufacturer, sells in the pet aisle of home improvement stores under a different label. Pro tip: in an apartment without outdoor disposal access, pine pellets reduce the biological hazard of stored waste bags significantly, making the sealed storage of waste inside your unit far more manageable for short-duration emergencies. Cost $6 per 40 pounds bag. One person, approximately 25 days of use. Running total, $115. Item 11. 5-gallon bucket plus Gamma Seal lid, toilet seat attachment. The $22 system that saved Texas families. Here is where the full system comes together. And here is the hack that nobody tells you. Do not balance on the rim of a plastic bucket. It is uncomfortable, it is unstable, and it is completely unnecessary. When the water stops, manually flush your existing bathroom toilet to empty the bowl. Use one of your stored water containers for this single flush. Then take a heavy-duty contractor bag and line the inside of your actual ceramic toilet bowl. Add a 2-inch layer of pine pellets inside the bag. Now use your bathroom exactly as you normally would. It feels completely normal because it is your actual toilet. When finished, twist the contractor bag closed and pull it out. Seal it inside your 5-gallon bucket using the Gamma Seal lid, a screw-top lid that creates an airtight, liquid-tight seal and can be reopened without tools. Store the sealed bucket on a balcony, in a garage, or outside a door. The Gamma Seal lid is the critical upgrade here. Standard bucket lids require a rubber mallet to seal and a pry bar to open. Gamma lids screw on and off by hand, making them manageable for every adult in the household. Pro tip: add a snap-on bucket toilet seat, available at any camping or hardware store for around $8 for use when the ceramic toilet is unavailable or in a secondary location. Cost: bucket $6, Gamma lid $8, toilet seat attachment $8, $22, complete system. Running total, $137. Item 12. Unscented baby wipes plus benzalkonium chloride wipes. The 2-wipe rule that stops E. coli. Baby wipes are your body hygiene system. Benzalkonium chloride wipes are your hand sanitation system. These are not interchangeable. This distinction is critical. Baby wipes clean. They remove surface dirt, sweat, and biological material. 1 wipe for your upper body. 1 for your lower body. Done. That is your daily hygiene protocol when showers are unavailable. Without this, severe fungal skin infections develop within 10 to 14 days, the kind that require a hospital visit. Benzalkonium chloride, BZK, is an EPA-registered antimicrobial compound. It actively kills bacteria, including E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Salmonella on contact. It is the only wipe you use after handling your emergency toilet. Not baby wipes. Baby wipes have 0 antibacterial properties. Using a baby wipe after handling waste and then touching food, water containers, or your face is one of the... What most people get wrong, they buy scented baby wipes because they smell cleaner. Used daily on adult skin, scented wipes trigger contact dermatitis and yeast infections within a week. Fragrance-free only. Pro tip: keep BZK wipes at the emergency toilet location and nowhere else. The physical location enforces the behavioral habit. Every person in the household always uses the BZK wipe at the toilet, then uses the baby wipe for broader hygiene. The habit protects everyone. Cost: $4 for 100-pack baby wipes, $6 for 60-pack BZK wipes. Running total, $147. Item 13. Heavy-duty nitrile gloves. The barrier between you and every pathogen. In post-disaster sanitation scenarios, the research is consistent. Hand-to-mouth pathogen transfer is responsible for the majority of secondary illness, not contaminated water alone. People who manage emergency sanitation without gloves and then handle food, water, or shared surfaces, nitrile gloves. Not latex. Between 8 and 17% of the population has some degree of latex sensitivity, a figure that rises sharply under physical stress and malnutrition. Nitrile has 0 cross-reactivity. Chemical-resistant, puncture-resistant, and powder-free to avoid respiratory irritation. Double glove for all waste disposal. Here is the technique. Put on 2 pairs. Handle the waste container. Remove the outer glove by peeling it inside out from the wrist. The contaminated surface folds inward and never contacts your skin. Dispose of the outer glove in the waste bag. The inner glove is still clean. Then remove the inner glove the same way when you are done. What most people get wrong, they use dish gloves or cleaning gloves that get reused between tasks. A glove that touched human waste and is then used to handle food preparation surfaces, even washed, carries residual biological risk. Pro tip: a box of 100 nitrile gloves is approximately $12. That is enough for daily double gloving use for a family of 4 for over a week, well past the critical sanitation period in most emergencies. Cost: approximately $12 per box of 100. Nitrile. Powder-free. Running total $159. Item 14. N95 respirator masks. The filter you need before you open that bucket. Decomposing human waste in a sealed container releases hydrogen sulfide gas. At concentrations above 50 parts per million, the OSHA action level, hydrogen sulfide causes rapid incapacitation, loss of consciousness, and at high concentrations, confined space incidents involving sewage have killed experienced workers who cracked an unsecured hatch in a poorly ventilated area. Most survival guides skip this item entirely. It is the least comfortable topic. But if you are managing sealed waste containers for more than 48 hours, particularly in hot weather or in a small apartment, you need respiratory protection when opening those containers for disposal. N95 designation means the mask filters 95% of airborne particulates, including biological aerosols. Surgical masks do not meet this threshold and are not effective for this purpose. For additional protection against gases, look for an N95 mask with an activated carbon layer. The carbon absorbs volatile organic compounds, including hydrogen sulfide. What most people get wrong, they assume this is only relevant in extreme scenarios. In hot weather, a sealed waste container can reach dangerous gas concentrations in under 24 hours. Temperature accelerates decomposition. Summer emergencies are higher risk than winter ones for this specific reason. Pro tip: only remove sealed waste containers in ventilated outdoor spaces, not in a bathroom, not in a closed garage. Outdoor disposal in open air eliminates virtually all gas-related risk. Cost: approximately $30 for a box of 20 N95 masks. Running total $189. We have covered water storage, purification, and full sanitation management. We are almost done. But I want to pause before we get to the final 4 items, because these last items are the ones most survival content refuses to cover. They involve uncomfortable realities about vulnerable people. Elderly parents, young children, family members with chronic illness, people who depend on medication that requires water or refrigeration to remain effective. These items are not optional if those people are part of your household. They are the most important items on the entire list. Item 15. Oral rehydration salts. The WHO formula that stops dehydration from killing. Drinking water when you are severely dehydrated can actually accelerate the problem. That sentence sounds wrong, but it is biochemically accurate. When the body loses fluid through illness-related diarrhea, it loses not just water but sodium, potassium, and glucose in a specific ratio. Replacing water alone without replacing electrolytes dilutes your blood sodium concentration, triggering a cascade called hyponatremia, a condition that causes seizures, confusion. Oral rehydration salts, ORS packets, contain water, sodium, potassium, and glucose in the precise WHO-formulated ratio, 1 packet per liter of purified water. The WHO and UNICEF have used this formula in every major disaster response since 1971. It is, by international medical consensus, the single most cost-effective life-saving intervention in the history of emergency medicine. The risk of diarrheal illness spikes sharply in any water crisis, from exposure to imperfectly purified water, from stress-induced gut disruption. It hits children and elderly adults fastest and hardest. ORS packets are the direct countermeasure. What most people get wrong, they rely on sports drinks as a substitute. Sports drinks are formulated for athletic rehydration, a completely different electrolyte ratio than illness-related dehydration. In acute illness, sports drinks are inadequate and can worsen hyponatremia. Pro tip: store a minimum of 30 packets per person. They take up almost no space and have a shelf life of 5 years. Cost approximately $0.3 per packet. 30 packet box for $9. 5-year shelf life. Running total $198. Item 16. Waterproof medication storage plus emergency supply protocol. The item 131 million Americans cannot ignore. 131 million Americans take at least one prescription medication daily. That figure comes from CDC chronic disease statistics. And yet fewer than 3% of those people have an emergency medication supply that extends beyond 7 days. After Hurricane Katrina, the majority of New Orleans pharmacies were inaccessible for more than 2 weeks. People who depended on insulin, blood pressure medication, seizure medication, or thyroid medication faced life-threatening disruptions within days of the storm making landfall. The solution has 2 components. First, ask your doctor for a disaster preparedness prescription. Many insurance plans now authorize a 90-day emergency fill specifically for documented emergency preparedness purposes. It costs nothing to ask. Second, store whatever supply you have in a waterproof, temperature-stable case, not a medicine cabinet, which is one of the most humidity-exposed locations in the average home. What most people get wrong: they wait. They assume they will figure it out when the time comes. The time to figure it out is a Tuesday afternoon when nothing is wrong, not the Tuesday after the storm. Pro tip: include a written medication list, drug name, dose, prescribing doctor, and pharmacy in your waterproof document pouch. Emergency room staff and disaster relief workers can use this to source critical medications from disaster medical caches when normal pharmacies are closed. Cost: waterproof pill organizer, approximately $8. The conversation with your doctor, $0. Running total, $206. Item 17. Hand crank NOAA weather radio. The device that tells you when to run. In the 2021 Texas winter grid collapse, a significant number of people who died in their homes had one critical thing in common: no access to real-time emergency information. They did not know that warming centers were open. They did not know that certain evacuation routes were passable. They made decisions in an information vacuum, and those decisions cost them their lives. Cell towers, the system most people now depend on for emergency alerts, failed within 18 hours of the Texas grid collapse at scale. Smartphone alerts require cell network function. When the towers go dark, your phone goes silent. NOAA weather radio, all hazards broadcasts continuously on 7 dedicated frequencies through an independent government infrastructure. A hand crank unit requires no batteries and no electricity. The user generates power manually. A 60-second crank produces approximately 10 to 15 minutes of broadcast reception. The best units also include a solar charging panel on top and a USB-A output port, meaning you can charge a smartphone directly from the radio while you crank. Communication and phone charging from a single human-powered device. What most people get wrong: they buy cheap emergency radios without NOAA-specific frequency reception. Standard AM/FM emergency radios do not receive NOAA weather radio broadcasts. Confirm NOAA WB reception is specifically listed in the product specifications. Pro tip: test your radio before an emergency. Tune to your local NOAA frequency and confirm you receive a clear signal in your home. If not, a small external antenna improves reception significantly. Cost: approximately $40 for a quality unit. Hand crank plus solar less USB-A output. Running total, $246. Item 18. Waterproof document pouch plus laminated emergency contact card. The last item that makes everything else matter. Every item on this list protects your body. This last item protects your identity, your access to resources, and your ability to communicate critical information when you cannot speak for yourself. FEMA data indicates that a significant portion of disaster victims requiring evacuation assistance could not provide their own address, emergency contacts, or medical information to first responders when they arrived. Phones were dead. Documents were inaccessible. People who needed help could not fully articulate what help they needed. A waterproof document pouch available at any office supply or outdoor retail store for around $8 solves this completely. Inside it, store physical copies of your government ID, your insurance cards, your home lease or deed, and one laminated emergency information card. That laminated card should include your full name and date of birth, your blood type, your current medications and dosages, your allergies, your emergency contacts with phone numbers, your insurance policy numbers. Print it. Laminate it at any office store for under $2. It takes 20 minutes to make, and it is the most information-dense piece of paper you will ever own. What most people get wrong, they store everything digitally and assume the cloud will be available. In a grid-down scenario, cloud storage requires internet access. Internet access requires power. Power requires the grid. The grid is what failed. Physical documentation is the only documentation that works at zero. Pro tip: make 2 laminated cards. One goes in the waterproof pouch. One goes in your car's glove box. If you are separated from your home and your vehicle, you still have your identity and your information. Cost: waterproof pouch $8, lamination $2 per card, $10 total. Running total $256. Let me bring this together. You just walked through 18 items built to cover every layer of a water and sanitation emergency. Water storage, 180 gallons accessible before you spend a single dollar. Purification, 3 redundant systems covering bacteria, protozoa, and viruses. Sanitation, a complete waste management protocol using your existing bathroom. Hygiene, a 2-product system that stops pathogen spread before it starts. And critical support, the items that keep vulnerable people in your household safe beyond day 1. Total for the full 18-item kit, approximately $256. That is less than 2 months of most people's coffee budget. But here is what I want to leave you with, because this is not really about money or lists or items. The people who suffered most in Harvey, in Sandy, in the Texas freeze, in Haiti, they were not less intelligent than you. They simply had not taken the 20 minutes to build a plan before the crisis arrived. And when the crisis arrived, 20 minutes was all that was left. Not enough time to think clearly. Not enough time to source what they needed. Just enough time to realize they had not prepared. You are watching this video on a calm day. Your water is running right now. Your power is on. That is the only window you ever get to prepare, the calm before the storm, not the storm itself. This is not about fear. It is about the 20 minutes of calm preparation that means you never have to feel fear when it matters. Now here is what I need from you. Drop a 1 in the comments right now if you are building your kit this week. Not planning to build it. Not thinking about building it. Building it. I read every comment and I respond to questions in the first 24 hours. Your question might be the answer someone else needs. If you got value from this, the most useful thing you can do is share it with one person, not a whole group, just one specific person you are thinking about right now who does not have a plan yet. One person. That is how this information spreads to the people who need it. And if you want to take this further, subscribe. Because the next video covers the 7-day no-power meal system that pairs directly with this water and sanitation kit. Specifically, how to plan, source, and store a week of complete nutrition for a family of 4 with no refrigeration, no cooking fuel waste, and under $80. And I will show you the one preservation mistake that makes most 7-day food plans completely unusable after day 3. That video goes up this week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss it. The shelf does not care who got there first. It only cares who got there early. See you in the next one.